Hey, thank you so much for being here today. We're super excited to have you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Mimi Francis. I'm a contemporary romance author. I've been writing for about 2 years and I have six books out. And
Amazing. I would love if you could tell us what your books are about.
well, I have two different series. One series is called The Loves of Lakeside, and it is set in Lakeside, Montana, which is a small town on Flathead Lake. There's a college, so it's a college town, roaring, crazy, busy during college time, quiet during the summers. And it's all about all the people that you meet and fall in love with in Lakeside. And then my other series is called Second Chances in Hollywood, and it is a series of books about people who are getting a second chance at love, maybe not necessarily with somebody they already knew, but definitely getting a second chance at love when maybe those first, second, or even third chances didn't work out so great.
Love that. What inspired you to write your books?
Lakeside was actually inspired by Montana. I'm originally from Montana, and my family, my in laws, have a home on Flathead Lake. And we are always up there visiting. And I was sitting on the patio one day and I was looking out over the lake, and I'm like, this is an amazing place. And I bet amazing things happen. And in a small town, everybody knows everybody else's business, which I thought was kind of an interesting twist with a book. So that was where that idea came from. And then my Second Chances in Hollywood series actually came about because I used to write fan fiction, and I was writing fan fiction about a famous actor. And I started it about him, and then I'm like, you know what? This would be better if it wasn't really him it was about, but if I created my own character. So my first book is Private Lives is about an actor, and I drew a little from that particular actor that I liked, but I made him his own person and character. So those are kind of where the ideas came from.
I love that. When you were writing your books, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your books are for?
I always say my books are for anybody from 18 to 100. I don't say that they're for men or for women, they're for both. I think everybody can enjoy my books. They are adult themed, so I do think that they're more for that those adult age folks, but I think anybody can read them. Moms, dads, grandmas, kids, anybody, young adult kids, honestly. I think just about anybody can enjoy my books. I try to make them appealing straight across the board to everybody.
Love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
I actually have been writing for about 8 years, and I actually started as a fan fiction writer. So I was in love with the TV show Supernatural and also the Marvel movies. But I started as a Supernatural fan fiction writer. I absolutely fell in love with the characters, and I would read fan fiction. I'm like, you know what, I can do this. So I started writing it, and it just kind of took off from there. I think I figured out one time I wrote over like 2 million words of fan fiction over the course of about 6 or 7 years. And my little group of fans that I had was always like, hey, you know what? You should totally write your own books. And I decided to take a chance, and that's what I did. So I started writing my own books after writing all that fan fiction that I wrote.
I love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
I tend to be a procrastinator, which is terrible, but I do procrastinate a little bit. Um, I think I write best under pressure though. So I have a tendency I'll go through and kind of write the basics of the book. And then I get back into the book and I dive in and I try to add all the stuff that makes it so people want to read it. So I can usually write a book in about 6 months, maybe 7 months total from first draft to finished product. And then, like those last 2 months of the writing, it's just, I'm super focused on getting it done.
That's amazing. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Oh, you know what? I'm a multitasker writer. So I write while I sit and watch TV with my husband. I cannot be something I have if TV show wise, it really can't be anything I have to pay attention to. So I like to I actually like to write to old TV shows, so I'll watch like Fantasy Island, I'll watch Magnum PI, Murder She Wrote, things like that. I just love to put those on where it's just kind of playing in the background and I can kind of write to it. So that's probably one of my most favorite things to have and keep right there with me is writing to my old favorite TV shows.
I love that. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
My favorite drink is probably a Coke Zero. It keeps me motivated. It's got that caffeine in it that keeps me going. And my favorite snack is Boom Chicka Pow popcorn. I love the kettle corn from Boom Chicka Pow. That's probably my favorite.
I love that. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
Well, I like romances, but I also I really like the psychological thrillers are my favorite. I'm reading the Housemaid right now by Frida. Oh my goodness, I can't remember her last name. But I'm reading The Housemaid right now, and I absolutely have devoured it. I blew through the first 18 chapters yesterday, and it's just those are probably my favorite. I love those thrillers. I kind of got hooked on those thrillers reading Verity from Colleen Hoover. And then I kind of fell in a hole and started just grabbing any that I could find and read.
Love that. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
My biggest inspiration for writing is J.R. Ward. She wrote the Black Dagger Brotherhood books. I love those books. The world she created and the characters she created and the way that she writes them is just so amazing to me the way that she did it. I absolutely love those books. And there's so many of them. And the fact that she manages to keep all those characters straight and keep you interested in everybody's lives in that world, just it's my favorite thing. So those are my favorite books. And I think she's probably one of my biggest inspirations.
I love that. What type of books did you grow up reading? Did you have a favorite?
I loved the Nancy Drew books when I was growing up. Those were my favorite. I could read those over and over again. And then as I got into junior high and high school, I started reading the little quick romance books where the boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy and girl get back together. I loved those. I read those. And then I started in high school, I really got into Stephen King. So I was a real big Stephen King. So my reading range is all across the board. I love to read everything. So but I have to say Nancy Drew is probably the ones that pulled me in and got me really hooked on reading was her.
Love that. On the opposite side of that, now as an adult, do you have a favorite series or author that if they come out with something, you're going to grab it?
Right now, my 2 favorite authors that I love to read just about anything from is I love Tessa Bailey and I love Colleen Hoover, and then anytime Stephen King comes out with a book, it's in my shopping cart and I am buying it immediately.
Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
I would probably tell them that they really don't have to just read those popular mainstream actors that they see all the or writers that they see all the time. I know that I found a lot of authors that I like that are the non-mainstream writers, like self-published writers or indie writers. You have to give them a chance. Don't discount them right off the bat just because they don't come from a traditional publisher. That would probably be my biggest piece of advice is just check out everybody you can who writes because sometimes there's a hidden gem in there that you didn't know existed until you go looking and find them.
So true, so true. What would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
I would tell them not to give up, no matter how terrible you think it is. And we all think our books are terrible when we start writing them. I would just say, just keep writing. A lot of people say write for yourself, and that's maybe not always the best advice because when you write for yourself, you're not thinking about your audience. You do kind of have to decide who am I writing this book for? Who do I want my audience to be? So maybe just figure out who you're writing the book for and why you want to write it. And then just write the story that's in your heart. Don't let somebody tell you how you should write your story. Find your reader and write the story that means the most to you.
Love that. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Actually, they are surprised to find out that I am a writer and the subject matter of my writing because I do write pretty spicy, steamy stuff. And when people find out that that's what I write, they're always a little bit like, "Whoa, you wrote that?" So that's always kind of a fun conversation for me because a lot of people that I work with do not know that I'm a writer. And then when it's not something I hide, but when they find out that I am, because I write under a pseudonym, when they find out that I do write, they're like, "Oh my gosh." And then they read it and they're totally shocked that it was something I wrote. And that's probably one of the funnest things for me is I always tell everybody as soon as they read one of my books, I'm like, "Okay, read it, but you're going to look at me completely different after you do." And but it always has, every time it has come out well. They always are like they love it and it's been really fun for me.
I love that. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
I'm so honored to be able to be on this podcast and talk about writing and reading because I have been a reader my whole life. Absolutely love to read. My daughters are big readers, and I encourage reading so much. And like I said, I think everybody needs to give those indie and self-published authors a chance as well as the mainstream writers too, because everybody's got a story to tell. And I really think that everybody needs to step out of your box and see if you can't find some people that you really like to write, that you really like to read. And if you want to write, go for it. Try it. Even if you only write for yourself, even if you only, post it online for a few people to see, you're still writing and still putting your writing out there. And that's kind of what matters.
I love that. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? I know some readers love signed copies, and the best place to connect with you.
Probably the best place to connect with me is mimifrancis.com. My books are available on my website. You can purchase my books on my website, or you can go to the links for like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. My publisher also, the link there is available there. And then for signed copies, if you come directly to me, shoot me an email, contact form, whatever, say, "Hey, I'd be interested in getting a signed copy of your book." I am happy to do that. And I am in Arizona, so I also post on my website if anybody is in Arizona and wants to come and meet me. I post whenever I'm out doing any kind of book festivals or anything like that. I try to make sure I let everybody know where I'm at too.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. It was great. I enjoyed it.
We'll be sure to drop all the links in the show notes. And again, thank you so much.
Sure. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.